Thanks to Ubisoft for providing me access to the game. Welcome to the Militia gaming community, I'm Trigger, and this is everything I love and everything I hate about the Season 2 Hoonigan update. Let's go! Real quick before I get into the video, if you're looking for any of my Motorfest tunes or my Need for Speed Heat builds, I've moved everything to my website. It's militiagamingco.com. There's links in the main navigation menu for Need for Speed Heat builds and Motorfest Pro settings, so click those if you're looking for that. The link to the site is actually in the description of this video. Alright, enjoy. So I did a video like this back when Motorfest launched, and I figured it's time to do another one now that we've got a full season under our belt. However, this one is specifically about the Hoonigan update. And that being said, I do want to do the loves first, just like I did in that last video, and then we'll get to the things that I hate. There aren't that many things that I hate. This is going to be a more positive video. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So the first thing I love about the Hoonigan update is that they added the ability to switch full part sets from car to car within a given category. You can take a Street 1 vehicle, grab all of the parts from that vehicle, and then put it on another Street 1 vehicle. This is something that was available in the Crew 2, and so a lot of you guys might be thinking, how do you love this when it should have been in the game from launch? Well, I'll tell you what, that's old news. It's in the game now, and I love that it's here. I'm not going to complain about old stuff. All right, moving on to the Hoonigan playlist. I actually really love the Hoonigan playlist. It's refreshing. It offers new gameplay. It offers new styles of gameplay and sort of like a new mode. It's got this stunt element to it, and it definitely is refreshing to have a new playlist with new PvE content. And to be honest, it was quite entertaining. It's worth about an hour of gameplay if you just play it straight through and you watch all of the cutscenes. You can actually watch my full playthrough here on the channel. I've got that posted as well. But overall, they did a really nice job with the playlist. It's got a variety of different events, and it is entertaining to play through. Now, on that same note, I really do love that they added the Hoonigan playground. And this actually means something really important for this game moving forward. But let's just talk about the playground itself first, and then I'll talk about what it means moving forward. So the playground itself is awesome. There's lots of different jumps, ramps, grind rails, lots of things to do donuts around. And I definitely think the community is going to get creative with this, making all kinds of Gymkhana-esque videos, which is awesome. I love that this was an addition, and I love that it was sort of custom built for this playlist and for this update. That being said, what this means for the game moving forward is that Ivory Tower really has no problem adding new areas to the map. This means that we're likely to get map extensions in the future. Now, maybe not on Season 3, maybe not on Season 4, who knows when, but the fact that they built a brand new area, like it wasn't even on the map. Like you can see those two islands that are out there, but on this it didn't exist. So they built a completely new area for us to drive on, and that's amazing. And they've got all this water to play with and all this space. So I'm excited about that because the tiny map really was one of the things that I hated about Motorfest when it launched. So that being said, I think it's a very positive thing for the game moving forward. All right, moving on to the next one, the new Race Modifier called Gymkhana. Now this goes hand in hand with the playlist, but basically this modifier allows you to earn extra cash by performing stunts during the races. Now obviously, if you're time hunting or you're going for your fastest possible time in a race, you're not going to be doing stunts and you're not going to be doing these things in order to get the bonus. But basically, if you're in a race with that modifier on, there's all kinds of opportunities for you to do drifts and different stunts and things to increase your cash payout. That's actually nice because cash payouts are not the greatest in this game. I can't complain too much. I think they're okay, but I think this actually does help if this is something you're focused on. And I'm actually going to be testing a lot of things to see if we can't come up with a new money method based on that modifier. All right, moving on to the next one. This one is kind of interesting. This is a new setting in the difficulty menu called Stunt Assist. This is a global setting and it goes across all cars. Basically, when you're in that playground area, Stunt Assist will actually help you stay connected to these donut circles. It almost seems like it's actually tied to the paint that's on the ground. Like when your wheels hit that paint, it sort of magnetizes you to the donut and makes it very easy to perform donuts and really cool tricks. And it doesn't just keep you there, like it's pretty easy to like break away from it. So I actually think it was designed very nicely. And with all the testing I did on this, I had that setting set to comfort, so it's the highest level of that setting, but it actually is really nice and it helped a lot in the playlist. So I highly recommend at least checking that out to see which of those settings you actually like. But that is something I actually really love about the game. They changed the mechanics of the game using this setting. All right, moving on to the next one, turning off the ghost traffic, aka the replayers. Now this is huge. This one I've been complaining about since launch. Basically, you have regular traffic that you cannot drive through, and then you have ghost traffic, which is sort of a replay of a race that happened earlier. It's not necessarily a replay of actual players, it's just AI traffic that just confuses things. So you'll be driving and you're like, do I have to avoid this car or do I not have to avoid this car? Is this car gonna be something that stops my progress, or can I just drive right through it? So there's a lot of questions, and now you have the ability to turn that off. Now, obviously that's an ambiance thing. It's something to make the world feel a little bit more full, and some players might prefer to use that. So the way they handled this is great. They didn't just remove that traffic. They are giving us the option to remove that traffic, and that is a great quality of life update. Anything that gives the player more options is definitely on my love list. So on that same note, turning off Cara, or more specifically, being able to decide what voice lines you can use with Cara, or which voice lines you can turn off and keep on. In my case, I was thinking I just really want the navigation, but at this point I'm going to turn Cara all the way off, because the navigation really only happens directly when you open Cara. She says a voice line, and then even when you're navigating, she's not giving you turn-by-turn navigation. She doesn't say anything until you re-navigate to something else. So it's kind of pointless to have her on with just that setting. Either way, it's giving players more options to sort of tune the game to their liking, and I like that. Moving on to the next one, they reworked the reward flow at the end of races. Now what this means is it's that display that you get at the end of a race or an event, where it shows you your XP and your money and your bonuses and how many parts you got or which parts you got. They've changed the way that it appears on screen and how fast it is. So basically now it's a lot faster. You can just skip right through it and see what you got in terms of the parts. That seems to be what everybody's looking for anyway when they're racing. And so that is possible now. You can just skip right through, see which parts you got, see if you got any legendaries, what kind of legendaries they were, and then you just move on. So that is a very good change for this update, and it's sort of a quality of life type thing as well. And on the same quality of life type note, another thing that I love is the map filters. This was missing from day one. I really wanted this, especially when trying to find out where the grand race is. A grand race little symbol gets hidden behind all the playlists and everything like that. So having map filters is huge, and you have a lot of options within those map filters, and then sort of like sub filters within each of those headings. So you've got default, you got playlists, you got events, feats, containers, PvP, and you can hide everything. And within those, you've got all kinds of different options to sort of filter it down even more. This is again something they had in the Crew 2, and it was missing from Motorfest, but now it's added, and I do love that. All right, moving on to the next one. I actually really love that they increased the summit rewards. Now you guys won't be able to see this for a few weeks, but basically you're gonna get a car with every summit for this month. Now they're not all exclusive cars. Some of them are just repeats or just things that you can actually buy in the store. But the fact that they increased the rewards just a little bit means that they saw it as a problem, and if the community feedback keeps going that way, they might even change it even further. But it seems like for now we're still getting one exclusive summit car per month, and then a host of different rewards after that. And for this month, it looks like there's cars in the gold tier, and then in platinum you're getting a vanity, which I love because I think you're also getting a vanity for the custom shows. So there's going to be more vanities for more people, and I definitely love that. Now that being said, just a side note, I don't think they're there with the summit rewards yet. I do think they need to be even better, but this is a step in the right direction, and I love that they did make that step. And the last thing that I love about this update is the sheer number of cars being added to Motorfest. So we have 11 brand new cars that weren't in the game, weren't in the Crew 2, completely new with the Hoonigan update, and 20 cars that were previously only available in the Crew 2 and not even in the store in Motorfest, and then 13 additional cars that are now importable from the Crew 2. So a total of 44 new cars to Motorfest. Now I know new is in quotes in that sentence because obviously they were available in the Crew 2 and it was implied that you were going to be able to import your cars. However, I really do appreciate that. Those 20 cars I just talked about are actually going to be purchasable in the store in Motorfest. So 11 brand new cars and 20 Crew 2 cars that are now going to be purchasable. And in those 20 cars, there's a lot of them that are Motor Pass cars that are exclusive to those Motor Passes. And some of them are not Motor Pass cars, but there's a lot of Motor Pass cars that are very exclusive in the Crew 2, and you've had to have played in that Motor Pass. It's not something you can go back and earn, and now you can just buy them in the Motorfest store. Now, those 44 cars are going to be delivered to us over the course of the entire season, so not necessarily right now on the update, but between now and the end of February, we should have access to those 44 cars. If you've played the Crew 2, you'll also have access to the 13 cars that are importable, provided that you own them in the Crew 2. All right, that's it for everything that I love. Let's move on to the things that I absolutely hate about this update. And the first one is Rea Fixing Parts. They changed the way that this setting works. It used to be when you had the setting called convert holds to presses, meaning you didn't have to hold the button to select the menu thing that you were doing. You could just press it and then it would happen almost instantly. Basically, that setting is what they changed the action of. So instead of pressing the button, having it happen almost instantaneously, now you press the button and you're still waiting for the hold circle to complete. So it's basically like holding it anyway. You just don't have to physically hold it with your thumb. And that means Rea Fixing Parts is terrible because when you hit the button to Rea Fix the part, it does not happen right away. You have to wait for that circle, then your part choices show up, and then you have to choose one. And when you choose one, it doesn't have to wait for the hold anymore. It just happens instantly. So what they were trying to avoid, which is people selecting the wrong thing or possibly passing the affix that you wanted, they did not accomplish any type of preventative measures there. You're still going to pass those things that you didn't want because you're so impatient about waiting for that hold anyway, and then you just end up clicking and not getting the one you want anyway. So I feel like that change really is not good. And on that same note, they made deleting parts way more painful with this exact change. You have to wait so long to delete parts. It's insane. It is very frustrating because you click the button and you have to wait for the hold circle to complete and then the part disappears. Whereas before you could click the button, it would delete, you could move on to the next part, it wouldn't be a problem. And it's just so much more frustrating. So that's a small like quality of life type thing that I hope that they revert in the next update. But anyway, let's move on to a couple that actually matter. Those are like some really nitpicky hates, but let's move on to the ones that actually matter. So the first one is they removed the parts reward from Peacock Flats. Now, if you don't know what Peacock Flats is, it's actually the escape that everybody uses to grind parts for a wide variety of different vehicle types. It's very fast. You just have to drive through it. You hit the distance, which is only like 400 and something yards. You rewind to the red circle and then you're done. You retry, do it again, and you can get a lot of parts per hour, and it helps you with the legendary parts grind. But now you can't get parts from Peacock Flats anymore. And the reason they removed that is because they're trying to combat the use of macros. And the thing is, there's other escapes that you can use macros with, and those still reward parts. So it's very frustrating. This change is only hurting the actual players that are playing the game trying to grind legendary parts. You should let us play the game the way we want to play it. If we want to sit there for 5 hours and run through the same escape a whole bunch of times, we should be able to do that in order to get our parts. You really shouldn't change the game and then it only negatively affects all of the players. The macro users are still going to use macros, and honestly, on top of that, the macro users are not necessarily always after parts, because parts are just sort of a byproduct for those people. They're mostly after the XP and the money. They can still do that with other feats. It's not super effective at trying to dissuade those macro users. So it's definitely something that landed on my hate list. And the last thing that lands on my hate list, and this is something that is sort of weird because I like part of this and I hate the other part of it. The part that I like is that they decided to add to the grand races. But the part I hate is that they decided to add to the grand races instead of adding new PvP options, which is a terrible decision because the PvP in the game is the thing that's keeping the game going. The The summits and the grand races, that's what everybody's doing. Now, unless you just got the game, that's what you're going to be doing. So I really think they should have added a new PvP option, maybe just something that's like class-based racing that just sort of rotates. That wouldn't be a super daunting thing to add, I don't think. I mean, I'm not a dev, but it just doesn't seem like that would be very hard to add. Just one thing that randomly selects a class. You have to select your vehicle just like the grand races, and you guys go do a race on a randomly selected race that's from the playlist. I mean, it just doesn't seem that hard to initiate. It doesn't have to be 28 players, it just needs to be like, let's say 8. But it would just be this queue, and everybody would queue into it, and it would be match made. It would be fairly simple, I think, to add, and they could have done that and sort of mixed up the game a little bit. That way not everybody's just over in grand races, because the reality is, if you're really good, you love grand races. If you're not so good, grand races are kind of a pain because of all the collisions that happen, especially at the start, but also, you know, throughout the race. So anyway, guys, this is the list of loves and hates. The update is by far a very, very good update. I'm giving it a huge score. Actually, there are no scores, but if there was, and it was out of 10, I would give it a 9. It is a very good update. I love that they added PvP. I love that they made lots of little changes that mean a big difference, like quality of life stuff. And I love how many cars they've added. I mean, are you kidding? If this was an update for Need for Speed, we would lose our minds. Anyway, if you have any questions about this, or please leave your feedback in the comments if you've already got a chance to play it. I know that this video came out slightly before the update launched, but that's thanks to Ubisoft for giving me a little early access to it. And if anything I'm wrong about, because I based all of this list off of the early access build, I could be wrong about something, or maybe the final build changed. Please leave that in the comments so that I can actually pin that comment and let everybody know. And yeah, that's it for this one, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.